Hey guys, just a bit of an update for the people who know what's been going on, and also for the people who don't know what's been going on, give you a bit of a backstory. So, just briefly, we've been using the same two cameras to make our videos for the last 100 years. So we've got a Nikon camera and we've got a GoPro camera, and that's pretty much what we've used to make our videos. And we've always more focused on the subject of our video rather than on the quality of the video or of the editing or of the music or anything like that. So it's just been basically showing you what we see the way we see it, and that's basically it. As time's gone on though, we've sort of been left a bit behind on YouTube, and more people have been complaining complaining or commenting that the quality of our videos was too low and that we should get a new camera and that we should put a higher format video out. And that's become more obvious as time's gone on, because when we started, all the videos were fairly basic, but they've become higher and higher resolution and so on. So, and to be honest too, I'm also very low tech, right? So I am a really low tech sort of character. Just as one illustration of that, I'm the last person in the world to not have a smartphone. There's a thing for you. So I am low tech. The other thing, of course, has been the cost. So just weighing it up, couldn't justify it. Just before I forget too, there have been a couple of people over the years who've actually offered to buy us cameras and have said, well, if you'll use a better camera, I'll send you one and you can use it. Now, that one of those guys actually commented yesterday, hey, I've been trying to get you to have a camera, and that's been true, and there have been different people who've offered to help us buy one. But it took years for our viewers to convince us to go on Patreon, right? Because it's sort of pride, I guess, or it's just, I don't know what it is. It's just sort of a thing. Just want to make the videos, put them out there, and taking money from people or taking things from people just felt a bit much. It felt, or whether it's a pride thing or whether it's just too much generosity or what it is. But I've always sort of resisted it, and it took them years to convince us to go onto Patreon. And now we've done it. They convinced us by convincing us that patronage is supporting people because you like what they do, and that's how they convinced us to go on there, and we did that, and we can see now, yeah, that was a good idea. Logistically, that allows us to keep going. So yeah, that makes sense, and it's mutually beneficial. So we get that. So those guys who sort of said, we'll buy you a camera, I've always sort of resisted it because it was a bit too generous, It just felt a bit too generous to say, yeah, send me a camera. It just seemed a bit much. So to that guy that said that yesterday, look, I'm sorry, man. He's been one of our viewers since the beginning, and he's been really supportive. But it was a bit too generous, But what happened yesterday, those of you who don't know, there was an unrelated video, or the day before yesterday, unrelated video. And just out of nowhere, someone said, you need to get a better camera, which we get that comment almost every day, on one video or another. And someone else responded, if you'll get a better camera, I'll help pay for it, right? And so I responded with, that's very generous of you, right? Because it is. And he did it almost straight away. He sent us enough money to pay for about a quarter of a new 4K camera. So then we were committed then, right? Because he sent us that money. We've either got to send his money back to him or buy a camera, haven't we? So that's why I made that last video. The next video after that was saying this is what's happening, And we were just blown away what happened next. It was just amazing. A whole heap of people sent us little bits of money, and that was just amazing. And a couple of people, really, really generous people, sent us big lumps of money. And so within 24 hours, we had enough money to buy a new 4K camera. So it's just amazing. It's just amazing. Just can't thank you guys enough. Just want to say this again. I've said it a million times, but I want to say it again because it's really, really important. The support we get through Patreon and PayPal and Coffee, a couple of people stepped up on there the last 24 hours too, or that 24 hours too. That support and the support that we got to get this camera logistically allows us to do what we do, to put the time in to do what we do. And logistically, that just practically, because that helps us, it makes it like a part-time job. So we can justify the time that we put into doing it, and it helps pay the bills and support what we're doing. And so logistically and practically, it has that effect to enable us to do it. Because as I've said a million times before, if it wasn't for those guys, we would have stopped making videos years ago. Years ago. So that from that point of view. But the other thing, the what it does for our morale, you know, because we've been doing this for a long time, and it's nice when people leave comments. I like your videos, you know, I love your videos. That's fabulous, you know, that's really encouraging. But there's nothing as encouraging as someone actually sending you money saying, we really like what you're doing and want you to continue what you're doing. Here's some money to help you to help support the channel and help you continue doing what you're doing. You know, it's hard to describe unless you've experienced something similar to that. It's just hard to describe. You know, and it goes back to the patronage thing. Those guys talked us into it years ago. One guy kept talking about Da Vinci. Well, if it wasn't for, we're not Da Vinci, right? But the guy's point was, if it wasn't for patrons, you know, Da Vinci or Michelangelo or these guys wouldn't have been able to do what they did. And it just, to have that feeling that people care that much about what you do, that they're prepared to actually take the time and effort and money to support you, is amazing. So, just incredible. So, going back just briefly to the low-tech thing, here's another confession. The same guy who doesn't have a smartphone also has a pretty old computer. It's not bad. It's got an Intel processor in it, but it's really old and it's really slow. And it's got Windows 7, right? And it's pretty basic. So what I didn't realise is a few people have commented, processing that sort of size video is going to require a pretty good computer. So what I'm doing is, what we're doing at the moment is the camera that I'm using for this video is actually, I borrowed it from someone because I want to find out how I think our editing software, we use AVS Editor, and I've looked into it, and they can do HD, of course, and they can do 4K. But it's just a matter of whether the computer can do it. So this is our first test, uploading in HD. What's it like? Can you see any difference? So look, just the plan is we're going to do some experiments with this uploading in HD, see how the computer handles it. We've got a good buddy in Nagoya who helps with computers and things. So if we need to upgrade the computer to handle the 4K, we'll get in touch with our buddy there and get him to update our computer. So just bear with us. In the meantime too, the other thing I want to tell you is we're researching to find out about what's a good camera to buy. It seems there's a Sony ZV that's really popular with people that make videos for YouTube. A couple of people have suggested some others, so we're sort of looking into it, seeing what's available. Obviously, they're all bigger than the little camera that we use now. So I just want to tell you this, full disclosure of what the thinking is. A lot of the places we go, you can't carry a big camera, or just logistically, if I'm out with the family and carrying kids stuff and I can't be carrying a big camera. And also, a lot of the stuff that happens, and shopping centers and places like that, you don't want to be rocking around with a big camera. And a lot of the stuff that happens is spontaneous and not planned. So we'll just go somewhere, just a normal place we go, and we'll see something, or something will happen, and I can pull out the camera, because the little camera fits in my pocket, right? So that's why I've always got it with me. So a lot of the videos that we've made over the years that have been spontaneous, that's how that's happened, is that I've got the little camera always in my pocket, I pull it out and go boom. And so that will probably continue to happen, because it's sort of not practical. A lot of the places we go and a lot of the things that we do aren't sort of practical for a bigger camera, or you're not allowed to. A lot of the places you go, you're not allowed to be walking around with cameras. So that means that we'll still continue to upload stuff that's probably, not so high resolution. The good thing about getting a new camera will be, however, when we have a planned video, like when we're going to a festival or when we're going to a castle or a shrine or somewhere where there's some scenery, be able to tote the bigger camera and get you guys some better footage. There's been some other things too. People have been talking about gimbals and like a Steadicam type setup, and because I drive some people crazy when I walk along with the camera because it goes doing, doing, doing. I'm aware of all that, guys. I'm trying to pick it up. I'm a bit slow with all these things, just because I've never really focused on the technical aspect of making videos. I've always just focused on the subject. So really need a photographic, what do you call it? Photographic dude. Don't know, I need to direct these things because the technical aspects of the videoing and the editing and all that sort of stuff is obviously not my cup of tea, you know, it's not what I do. However, the what you guys have done there has backed me into a corner, right? You generous people who've backed me into a corner there where I'm now obliged to buy a better camera and make more of an effort, you know, which look, you know, I recognise that times have changed. You know, when we first joined YouTube, you know, it was all standard definition stuff and small little square screen, and you know, it was all pretty basic. You know, and I recognise times have changed. We've been sort of left behind. You know, all these other guys have come along and been using drones and 4K and all the other tools that they use to produce their amazing videos. You know, so we've been left behind a bit. So we need to catch up a bit. We'll never go the full hog though. I mean, I flew an aeroplane over a volcano once to make a video and almost nobody watched it. So I'm not going to be buying a drone, right? So I'm not going to sort of go down that. I don't want to go full on. I don't know. I always find videos like that a bit like not YouTubey. You know, they're a bit too professional. You know, and a lot of them are really professional. They have whole teams of people working on their videos. The guys that make the big bucks. You know, they have a whole team of people that work on their videos to give that professional presentation, and I just don't want to go down that track. I prefer to focus on the subject. And the other thing is that because it's just day-to-day life in Japan, anything and everything about Japan, there's not usually a lot of planning that goes on. It's quite often, oh, stop the car, look at that, stop the car, you know, get the camera, and there it is, you know. So it's not the big planning thing with, you know, people behind the scenes doing things, or there's not a lot of that going on. It's just day-to-day stuff, you know. So, and we'll continue to do that, but maybe we'll just do it with a better picture. So, really keen to know, can you see any difference? If you're looking at this in HD now, can you see any difference? So the things I wanted to experiment with was to see how my computer deals with editing HD, and also just to see how this is. Apparently 4K is pretty serious for the computer, so I'm just seeing how far we need to go with this, you know. Apparently also the 4K cameras also have an HD setting, so you don't have to shoot in 4K all the time. So just interested in your feedback. I know some of you guys don't care. I've had lots of people say that over the year. I don't care. Someone says you need to get a better camera, and other people respond to them and say, I don't care, I think it's fine. So it just depends. Probably depends on what you're watching it on too. Someone who's watching it on a really big screen probably wants the best definition they can get. It also depends what you're looking at, I guess, if it's sort of worthy of it. So anyway, be interested in your feedback about that. So that's where we are at the moment, guys. We'll run these experiments. We'll see what happens. We'll keep looking at different cameras, and then eventually we'll get out there and buy one sooner rather than later, and get rolling on that. In the meantime, we're just going to be focusing on the same sort of stuff that we always do, the anything and everything about Japan stuff. All right, thanks again, guys. Look, just again, can't thank you guys enough. You know, we love making the videos. The whole family do, you know. We're talking about this today because you blew us out. We're having big conversations in our house the last day or so about this, and it just blew us away. It really helps me justify, because making videos as a part-time job isn't a common thing in Japan, you know. And so, you know, the question's been asked over the years why I spend so much time on the computer making videos and so much time on YouTube and things like that, you know, in-laws and so on. And it's much easier to say, you know, it's a part-time job when it really is, you know, but we love it, you know, and we all do it, you know. I'll tell you something I've noticed. There's a thing. If my wife sees something and says it's interesting, then I know it's going to be interesting to other people, because, you know, she's seen most of the things here all her life. So when she sees something here and thinks it's interesting, I always pay attention. And the kids are good at it too. The kids always spot things and say, look at that. So we love doing it. It's a habit. If we stopped putting videos on YouTube, we'd probably still keep thinking of doing it, because it's become a habit for all of us, you know, and we love it. But without those generous people, we wouldn't be able to keep doing it. So thank you so much again. Anyway, that's more than enough of that. Tell me what you think about this. Is it any better? Can you see the difference? Is it good enough? Anyway, how's that? More videos coming soon.